What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets. We are going to be talking in another week of PGA golf. I thought I was going to be winning all the money at the day one. It goes to show you why you don't care about things at the end of day one. It was not a great finish for me last week. I did actually end up doing better than I thought I would, considering that I was like 4 of 6 everywhere. But not my ideal week, but I had a good run at golf, so I can't, expect to win all of these things. Sheets, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
I actually got like third in like the showdown one of the days. The day I posted the showdown, I got third in like the 555. It cashed like 2,500 or something like that.
Oh, nice! I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that was fine. And we were all over the freaking guy we never heard of that we locked in. Whatever Taylor, whatever his name, Taylor Heineke, whatever his name was. Who did just terrific, and we've been really on some of these plays, and I'm looking forward to again, it's just kind of tough to get the right combinations and get those when you need to get those 6 of 6 across, and very few people got 6 of 6 across last week.
The last 2 weeks I think it was less than 4% last week, and it was less than 1% I think the last time we did it. So
and interestingly, this week I have I have one guy we'll get to who is probably going to be my key high-owned guy who I don't know if I played a share of since we've been doing these videos. So that'll be an interesting one we'll get to. And we'll have some guys that I've played a bunch of times, some guys whatever, and let's just get right to it, I guess.
Yep. All right. So why don't you start us off with the 10K plus range?
How about I remember to share my screen this time.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I should have reminded you.
Oh, you disabled screen sharing. That's how
bad it is. Here we go.
That's how bad it is. Okay.
All right, we're struggling. Here we go.
Okay, one sec. Struggling, but we'll finish strong. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so as usual, and it's funny, because of the way I make my picks, I just combine like a lot of different models and, adjust them for strength and weaknesses and things like that. You do end up getting the same types of guys, and you do end up fading the same types of guys, and just the way it is. And so I'm not going to have any of Koepka because, again, I just never have. I'm not going to have any of Burns. And it's not just because he's coming off the win. I didn't like him. I really didn't like him last week either, actually. I mean, but he won. The only guy I actually have interest in over 10K is actually Webb Simpson. I'm not quite getting to Hovland or Answer or Zalatoris or any of those other guys. And not that Webb Simpson's going to be particularly off the board either. I have him at 20% ownership as well.
It's really spread out, isn't it?
It is. I have all those guys at almost exactly 20%, by the way.
Yeah.
And so I have. So that's my guy that I'll be using from this range. But aside from that, probably not much interest.
Yeah. By the way, yeah. So I am not too far different from you. I actually like. I'm trying to find the lower. I don't think Brooks or Sam Burns are going to be nearly as highly owned. So you could take that as a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't think Answer is a bad play. Answer and Hovland are the two that I was thinking of. I'm actually not playing Webb. I like Zalatoris the best in this group. He'll be the one I play the most. And it would probably be Answer or Hovland next for me. But I'm not like in love with either of those. How about the 9K range?
So in the 9Ks, I do have some interest in a couple of guys here. They're not my favorites, but they're certainly my favorites of these range. So I don't play this guy all that often, but I do have interest in Hideki this week. I like him.
Mm-hmm.
I like Louis Oosthuizen this week as well. I like Harris English. I like Sungjae Im, and I like Scotty Scheffler. And that's I don't know if that's the whole 9K range, but I happen to like all those guys. So I guess the 9K range is pretty.
Where you're making your.
That's all the 9Ks. That's so funny. I didn't get to see Woo Kim this time.
If you're not playing the 10K guys, though, that's not
right.
makes that.
Yeah, but all those guys rate very strong for me.
Yeah, I will throw one more name. The guy who gets the most underowned in DFS is even though he's gonna actually have some ownership this week, but I like Siwoo Kim as much as any of the guys you just mentioned, and he's a little cheaper. But I like the guys you mentioned. Scheffler would be my favorite. Hideki would be right behind him. Actually, they're close. I don't know if I would say that actually. Hideki, you're going to get a lot lower ownership. But Siwoo, Hideki, and Scheffler are my favorite three in this range. I would probably go Harris English, and I'm sorry, Oosthuizen and English after that. But
So,
I agree with you. That is a strong range. It doesn't feel like there's a huge gap between any of them in the 10K plus range.
yeah, so very strong for me are some of these 8K guys. So my top play on the board, it's not by a lot, but my top play on the board is certainly not going to be anything earth shattering. He's going to be at least 15% or if not more. And that's going to be Joaquin Niemann. I played him a zillion times and he just rates out to be a really, really strong play. Another guy who's going to get some ownership as well, who I've played with, differing amount of successes. I would actually say less success is Patrick Reed. I like him. And then a guy who's just the models just love him literally every week is Charlie Hoffman. And he's down to 8,100 now. I mean, his price is moving down a little bit. And I don't think his ownership is moving up. I mean, I have him at only 10% this week, and he's usually a pretty popular guy among like the projection guys. So I'm very curious if this ownership holds. Because if so, I'm willing to take a pretty good stance on him. Three other guys I'll mention, two chalk guys and one less chalk guy. So Corey Connors, very, very super solid. I like him. And Paul Casey, I've never had any luck with, but he's showing up as an okay play. But the guy that I don't understand why he's less than 10% is I'll go right back to Tringali again. I mean, coming off of very real. I guess he didn't finish it off so well, but he was really, really killing it for like days and days. I didn't really watch the end of Sunday. But Tringali's he's really, really good, and he's less than 10%. I play him over Casey any day of the week, if you want to know the truth. So I think that he's probably like ownership adjusted, probably my favorite play in this range. But I think my favorite play is it's safe enough for me, Joaquin Niemann.
Yeah, I love Joaquin Niemann as well. We're gonna have a little Chilean theme here. My girlfriend's Chilean, so it's always funny with liking the Chilean golfers because there's the two of them are going to be pretty popular, and I think for good reason. I don't think Joaquin's going to be crazy popular. I think we're crazy if we don't just play Matt Wolff every week blindly now. I really do. He went back to his old clubs, and he sort of stumbled a little bit early on in the last tournament at times, and then he really got it going over the weekend. I think he's more talented than most of the golfers who are above him, and I think the same could be said about Patrick Reed when he's on. So those guys kind of stand out to me along with Niemann. I actually like Paul Casey, but I don't necessarily need it at the ownership. I like Corey. I think I'd rather play Corey Connors than Paul Casey, but I think that it's rating. More people are going to be on. It's going to be close between the two of them. And I like your Charlie Hoffman idea. I like a lot of guys in this range. So I don't want to get too spread out. Yeah. But the Tringale, Adam Scott. I mean, I certainly could see it. I just personally prefer the other guys. So I've got it: Niemann, Wolff, Reed, and Casey. With Hoffman and Connors as a possibility.
So the under 8K range, I want to talk about a couple of guys, and then I'll get to my top play. I just can't believe I'm playing this guy. But anyway, the guy I can never get to just because of his popularity. He's not rating all that well for me this week, and I should probably play him every week. But I'm just doing the opposite. I'm literally never playing him, and that's Mito Pereira. He just always shows up as kind of a guy that I always want to fade, and I fade him, and he always gets there. So it's going to be my dude, like my anti-guy. Then the next guy I want to talk about is Taylor Gooch, who I do like at 7,600. He's going to be less than 10%, and I always like him. He's never quite ever really done anything for him. Well, he's done fine for him. He's never really gotten there. I like Brian Harmon a little bit. But the two guys that I really, really like, one guy who's not going to come as any surprise because I played him before is Maverick Mcnealy. I like him at 7,700. I have him as a top 10 play. But this is a guy, again, this is my first run, he showed up number one. I was just waiting for him to drop because I really didn't want to play him. Second time I ran him, he tied with Niemann, and I was hoping to just somehow he would just drop from the list. I've just kind of stopped trying to question why these things show up like this, even though I would really never actually play him. But I'm gonna pound this guy. And I don't think I played a share of him since I started DFS. So I'm gonna play Ian Poulter this week. I just literally the exact opposite type of guy I like to play. But I'm sitting here and he looked near the top of my model at 7% ownership. I'm just gonna do it. That's just where I'm at.
I got you. Talk for one more second a little bit about that because I've got to just load our last video and it takes me a minute to do that.
Yeah.
So talk. Why this week for Poulter, who we talk about all the time, but you never are interested in?
I don't know. And again, I hate to be like this. I don't have
No, it's fine.
I don't have the narrative. I don't have the particular stat. I don't have the course fit or whatever. But when you just jumble everything up into the way I crunch all this stuff, I just kind of look at it on my board, and I see what I see. And then if it doesn't make sense, I stopped worrying about it. The one time I just literally just like took my numbers and just threw the guy out was Steve Stricker. There's one time that Steve Stricker was like, he rated like 5th overall for me. I'm like, gee, I'm not really going to play Steve Stricker. And I ended up basically making the cut and like making him the optimal for somebody. You know what I mean? I don't know how, but so I just kind of just stopped asking why. Maybe it's because this is a good course fit for Poulter. Maybe it's just because of his price. Maybe it's the price. I have no idea, but he's showing up for me as the top 7K guy, and I'm just going to play.
Okay, so I've got a couple guys you didn't mention there. I'm okay with Poulter this week too, but there's another guy at the same price I like better. I love Mito. I go all Chilean team thing.
Hey,
those are the two Chileans. They'll probably be in my main lineup. I like Kevin Streelman. You didn't mention him, and I like him quite a bit. I like. I'm open to the Russell Henley thing. I feel like there's a lot of upside there for that price, and I'm going to go back to Patton Kizzire, unfortunately.
There were two guys that I was saying, okay, if he throws him in the universe, I'm going to use him. And he was one guy I was worried about, and the other guy, I just hope you don't mention him. Then we don't have to play him. So yeah.
Carlos Ortiz.
No, don't question. Is that the guy you're thinking of?
Yeah, Carlos Ortiz, and then at 7K flat, I like. God, it's hard for me because I feel like he's been really bad, Munoz, but I'm tempted to go back to it. But the guy I really like is Norlander. Just talk about a guy who is in good form, and at 7K, I think he's the guy I'm going to end up preferring, and I think he'll actually be low owned too. So I like Norlander quite a bit.
Okay, so we're closing the universe now on the under 8 on the 7K guys. So we officially are now, like, if we bring up a guy, we can't use him because we're now forcing him into the universe. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that we are now finally not going to play Grillo.
I know, it's freaking me out, man.
That's it. But he's out of the universe. We can't now play him. We've already crossed him out of the universe, even though he probably should be like 8,500. We are crossing him out of the universe. So if you guys all want to play him, you can, and you'll probably win. But we're not allowed now because we've X'd him out of the universe. We were looking for a reason to play him, but not play him, and we've completely just avoided talking about him. And I'm staring at Grillo Kizzire. I'm like, which one is he going to bring up? And I'm like, just don't bring up Grillo because then I got to play him. So now I don't have to play him, and he's going to be 4% off.
I know.
Anyway, that's where so I think we've covered a bunch of the 7Ks. Yeah. All right. You got anything? You got anything for me under 7? I got 2 guys for you.
I've got 3. I'm not like in love with any of them. They're just the guys who I have as actually I've got 4, but I don't really know how much I'll use the last 2. Higo, I think still getting ahead on this guy is the right idea, even though, like, I mean, this guy was a guy when he was coming up and everybody was playing him at 30%, and like without what, now he's had a couple bad tournaments, so no one wants to play him. I'm interested a little bit in that. Adam Hadwin is showing up at the leaderboards on every tournament at some point during the tournament, so I've had a little bit of interest in Adam Hadwin. And then my long shot, I mean, these guys are long shots too, but it's Rory Sabatini and Harry Higgs.
All right, I got 2 guys for you.
Okay.
One's a guy, I always get there, is Charles Howell III. And the other guy,
where is he priced at? I almost didn't even feel like I found him this week.
He's 6,900. And then it's probably overpriced. And then another guy I have at 6,200 is Alex Smalley. So
okay, interesting.
So those are the darts. Not even darts, because they're just guys that you just want to just get 53rd. Like, it's guys, whatever.
What about Lebiota and Doc Redmond? They're 2 guys who we've both seen the upside of them for they've gone on little runs at times, and those are 2 that I didn't really have on my first look through. But I think that's I think both those guys are in play as well. I actually this is feels very wide open-ish, this tournament. And I feel like a lot of the guys in the 8K range are as good as the guys in the 9K range. The 9K range is as good as the 10K range. You know what I mean? I feel like you could cross this off and it would be hard to know exactly how they were pricing players somewhat, because I don't know. I just don't see a huge difference between some of these, and even the 7K range versus the 8K range just doesn't feel like you're getting it's a real difference in terms of quality of player. It's more just, I don't really have the reason why they're priced there. And I will say, because we didn't mention him, and every time we don't mention a guy we play a lot, they tend to do well. Doug Yim.
I'll comment on it because you brought him up. In my FanDuel builds, which I built, a few days ago, so I have to update them a little bit. There are literally 2 lineups that I liked, and one of them actually had LeBoyota. Just so you know,
Okay.
There's very, very few guys that I liked on FanDuel at the at kind of at the lower salaries, and he happened to be not that one. And he happened to be one of them. So LeBoyda I like on FanDuel for whatever that's worth.
All right, that sounds good to me. All right, let's do the game. This is the more interesting part here. So we're gonna take, who are you taking to win this thing? Because you're gonna skip the 10K range, right? Or no, you're gonna take Webb. I guess you said you did say you like Webb. Sorry.
I am going to take Webb.
Okay, that means I've got to play a little bit of Webb, at least. I will take Zalatoris. And how about next to make top 5?
So under 10K to make top 5, you have a lot of really good options here.
Yep.
I'm between 2 guys. I am going to go with, I don't want to just say between these 2 guys and do them both. So I'm going to go, well, I'll tell you, I'm between Louis and Hideki. I'll just wimp out and go with my numbers, and I will say, I actually don't know which one I like better. I'll go with Ustaz.
Even after you talked up Hideki, okay.
Yeah, I'll go with Ustaz.
All right, I like Scheffler, but I also like Hideki, so I guess I'll take Hideki just because you didn't. But I like both Scheffler and Hideki. I think they're both viable, both like really good options.
Top 10 under 9K.
I love Neiman, but I'm just gonna stay to what I always say. I love 2 guys here, and one of them is Neiman, but I'm gonna say Matt Wolff.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I just feel as though like Neiman and Hoffman are like gonna get like 13th. I'm gonna go with Patrick Reed.
I knew you were gonna say that, so perfect. That actually works out good for me.
Yeah.
All right, so next range.
Top 20 under 8K. Under 8K.
I want to take the chalk, but I would take the chalk. I'll say Mito. What the hell? I'll say Mito.
And I will go with Ian Poulter.
Okay.
And pick your favorite dumpster to make the cut.
I'm gonna go with Lebioda actually. Lebioda, Redmond, and Higo and Hadwin. I'm very close, but I'll say Lebioda.
I'm gonna go with somebody different to actually make the cut. I'm gonna go, boy, oh boy, it's between these 2 guys. I'm gonna go with actually someone I didn't bring up, but you did. Just because maybe this is just like wimping out, but just kind of a little more familiarity with him. If I just need him to make the cut, like Alex Smalley's like, it's the projection-based play. I really have no idea who he is. So to tell him to make the cut, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Doug Gim call to make the cut. He's always in there. You know what I mean?
He's always right around there if he's not there. And
yes,
now,
so I'll try that.
I'm gonna make a little note to myself though to play one lineup. I can play one lineup with him.
Okay.
The what's his name? The guy who killed us. All right. Well, good luck to everybody this week. Should be another fun week, and hopefully setting up for a fun golf season. Remember to check out all the plays and picks at TrueDFS.com, and we will be back probably doing an NFL first look very shortly. Good luck, everybody.
Let's do it.